Welcome to the podcast about investing in startups, where existing investors can learn how to get the best deal possible. And those that have never before invested in startups can learn the keys to success from the venture experts. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to TFR for a special installment of Investor Stories. In this segment, the investors tell a story about some of the most odd and unusual situations they've ever encountered as investors. This is the segment called The Strange and Unusual. On this special segment, we have Minnie Ingersoll of 10110. Minnie, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered?
Gosh, it probably came from it came from Google Times, actually, which is that like Larry and Sergey as founders, they are a mile a minute. They are full of ideas that sometimes seemed crazy to me. And like, I probably would have missed things like autonomous cars or Project Loon. They are ideas that I might not have invested in. And now everyone's building autonomous cars and it makes sense. And Project Loon is this project to fly balloons in the stratosphere, connected with lasers and, blown by winds. But some of the ideas that came out of Google are things that I think at some point Sergey said, we should build chairlifts throughout San Francisco. And I think we were all like, well, it doesn't snow in San Francisco, so you don't need chairlifts. But I think Google was a place there where people were really encouraged to have crazy ideas, and some of them made sense and some made less sense. But I appreciate that very much about Google.
Love that. On today's special segment, we have Scott Dorsey of High Alpha. Scott, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered? Everyone loves this one.
That's a good one. And I don't know that I have any really wild, crazy stories, but I would say in-person pitches are always so much better and so much more meaningful. They're not always practical, but they're always better and always more meaningful. So we try to meet entrepreneurs face-to-face whenever we can. In other cases, you just have to do Zoom calls, which we love Zoom. They're an amazing company and have built an incredible product, but you have to do Zoom calls and video. And I always find those are a lot more challenging, and the hit rate for the entrepreneur is quite a bit lower. Even when we're helping our studio companies raise capital, success rate of an in-person meeting far outweighs a video. So I'd say the wildest or the meetings that have maybe gone most off the grid are when we have an entrepreneur pitching us over video, and often they have 2 or 3 other team members in different locations. Things can really get discombobulated and off track. And unfortunately, I think often it doesn't put the entrepreneur in the best position to really tell their story in a compelling way.
When you say higher success rate, does that mean more of the in-person meetings, convert to partnerships with High Alpha, or, how are you kind of measuring the success of the meeting?
I think just hands down, percentage of pitches that ultimately turn into investment, the in-person meeting probably 10x's the video pitch. Mm-hmm. And we find that for ourselves in the investments we make, but really the studio companies, as we help them get ready for fundraising, our own experience has been there's just no substitute for the in-person meeting. It's just really difficult to read the room. It's difficult to be as compelling as you want to be over video. I think it can be useful, I'd say, for pre-meetings, but when you're kind of making the bigger pitch to the broader team, you just need to be there in person.
On today's special segment, we have MG Siegler of GV. MG, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered?
I feel like I sort of cheated earlier because my answer to this was going to be, and still would be, Control Labs. But I can give you a little bit more detail about their actual pitch of like how it went down.
Yeah.
So basically, as I alluded to, with what the company does, as you can imagine, this is something you do have to see in order to believe it. It's one thing for me to explain it, but it's another thing to see it. The good news is that during a pitch, you do get to see it. And so basically, the company came to our office and, we had everyone around the sort of pitch table. And basically they do this at the time. This now seems like a rather rudimentary demo, but it's still amazing to behold when you see it for the first time. And there's videos online that can show it to you if you wanted to see it. But essentially what they do is, so they pull out a laptop and they have a person typing on a computer. just on a regular laptop keyboard, and he's wearing the device that Control made, their band, and he's wearing it on his arm. So he's typing, and you can see what he's typing on screen. You know, they did a little video thing so everyone could see it over his shoulder, but then those of us in the room could actually gather around to see it. And so then basically he just stops typing with his fingers. So he's just laying his fingers flat on the keyboard in front of him, but the words are still appearing on the screen in terms of like what he's actually trying to type. And then they do the next level thing where they just actually remove the keyboard, and in this case, the laptop entirely. And then he's just putting his hands on the desk, and the words are continuing to display on the screen.
Wow.
Without his hands, which is pretty incredible.
That's unreal.
And then they do it also with playing the game Asteroids. So you remember, of course, the fun arcade game, which is actually sort of hard to control. Like, right? It's not like a very precise, certainly with a joystick, it's pretty hard to actually control. That's part of the fun of the game. And so they're able to control that game without moving your hands. Again, just sitting in front of you on a desk, not moving at all. And you can play it just by thinking about what you want to do and what your intention is to do with your hands.
That's
but
so
again,
cool.
It's pretty amazing demo. And you can imagine after seeing that demo, it's not that hard to sort of get convicted of what it is that they're building.
We're in. What are the terms? That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.